So guess what? They started fighting again. In this video, we'll now talk about what happened between the Athenians and the Spartans as a consequence of the failure of the terms of the Peace of Nicias. Remember, for the Greeks, peace was only an interval between fighting. In this case, though, the Athenians were genuinely worked up into a frenzy. They were really furious that the Spartans had apparently violated the peace. It happened that the Spartans had some other discontented buddies in their neighborhood. They were the Argives. The Argives were always ready to turn sides, from the Athenians to the Spartans or wherever else the particular alliance happened to be. There was Elis. Elis is a city in the northwest corner of the Peloponnesian island, and they were responsible for the running of the Olympian Games. There have been some disputes between the Eleans and the Spartans about whether the Spartans might have an opportunity to run the games due to some type of a religious violation that had happened on one occasion when the Spartans had tried to do this. So there were problems with the Eleans, and Mantinea, a town a little bit north of Sparta, was an old town, as we plunge into darkness, because Mantinea is a dark place when it comes to the Spartan history. Mantinea was an old ally of Sparta from many years ago. It had been originally 4 separate villages, we're told by the historian Xenophon. And then those 4 villages were combined into one city that became Mantinea, and which became a Spartan subject ally. The Mantineans had never really appreciated this treatment on behalf of the Spartans, and this particular coalition gave the Mantineans an opportunity to express their opposition. So these 4 cities, Athens, Argos, Elis, and Mantinea, all combined into a 100-year alliance that they formed in 420 BC. It did not, by the way, last 100 years. Now, essentially, this was meant as punitive action to be taken against the Spartans. So in very loose terms, there weren't any actual direct attacks made, oddly, against the city of Sparta itself or any of its allies, and therefore the terms of the Peace of Nicias were not actually violated on this occasion, and strangely, even the alliance could potentially get restored between the Athenians and Spartans if ever peace could be found. Well, the 4 cities did training exercises to make one very large collaborative army that would be ready to take on the Spartans. Did not work out, however. After some skirmishes back and forth, the critical moment came in 418 BC when the Spartans finally made an attack into the Lelantine plain, which was the plain a little bit south and west of Argos, apparently making an aggressive movement against the Argives. The Argives immediately called for assistance from their 3 allies, who indeed responded, and the group all came together and met near Mantinea. The Spartans also had contingents located near Mantinea and eventually brought them all together, and now there were these 2 massive armies, probably up to that time, the largest land forces on record on both the Spartan side and the side of the coalition. Now, a battle was called for. Now, in the case of a phalanx army, you have each of the so-called hoplite soldiers. Hoplites are the armed men in an army who have a spear in their right hand and a shield like this in their left hand, and they march together in unison like this. So the shield and the left arm is meant to cover not only the left half of that person's body, but also the right half of the next person's body. So therefore, it's meant to be almost like a tank going forward. Now that's great if you can coordinate properly with all the men to march in unison this way. One of the downsides of the phalanx, however, is that because everybody is trying to stay essentially protected with that spear behind the next guy's shield, there's a tendency for the phalanx to lean a little bit to the right as it goes forward. So apparently what happened was, when these 2 armies were supposed to join in battle, something very strange happened, that you have one line over here and one line over here. They are supposed to meet, But instead that happened, because of this one leaning that way, going up, and this one coming down this way, they missed each other completely. As a result, the Spartans saw this opportunity. The Athenians and their allies got themselves out of alignment. The Spartans were then able quickly to turn on their enemy and counterattack them. And the result was one of the most impressive victories for the Spartans, who were outnumbered by that coalition. The Spartans defeated the coalition and politically broke it up. The four cities were so distraught that their alliance pretty much fell apart after this. This is one of the most impressive battles recorded anywhere in history for the Greeks. It was apparently numerically one of the largest combined forces of manpower put together, and it was one of the most stunning outcomes because probably with a coalition of four cities all combining against one city, odds would probably have been taken that coalition would be able to overpower that city. History definitely changed here because as a result of their survival, the Spartans were able to continue to exert and in some ways re-exert power over the Peloponnesian League, and the Athenians trying to take down the Spartans because of the perceived grievances from the terms of the Peace of Nicias, were unable to redress those grievances, and that will give them a much more aggressive temperament going forward. This will be felt painfully in Athenian politics to come, as we will talk about in the next video, and will have dire consequences also in the military decisions the Athenians would make also in the years to come. We will first take up the political consequences, and then we'll start dealing with the military ones after that. We'll see you next video.